Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Balenme. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. In today's video, I want to talk about something that's really important and sometimes I tend to not give it much weight when it is actually very heavy. But before we start that though, I would love to interest you in some of my previous videos like these ones here. Anywho, today's video is mainly about why it's so hard taking the first step in a direction that benefits you. So, I want to read a blog. It's from the Medium and it says why first step is always difficult. Most of times impossible as well. And this is by Shrinkant Posale. So it says breaking inertia. Why the first step feels like a giant leap. Ever stared at a blank document, a clean canvas, or a pair of running shoes and felt an invincible force holding you down? You know what you need to do. You might even want to do it, but taking that initial step feels less like a step and more like trying to push a car uphill. You are not lazy or broken, you are just human, fighting against one of the most powerful forces in the universe, inertia. The ghost of Isaac Newton in your brain. Sir Isaac Newton wasn't thinking about your unopened email inbox when he wrote his first law of motion, but he might as well have been. The law states that an object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an external force. Think of your motivation as a giant stationary boulder. It's comfortable where it is. To get it moving requires a massive concentrated burst of energy. You have to overcome friction, gravity, and its sheer dead weight. But once it's rolling, a smaller, consistent push keeps it going. The initial push is the first step. It's the moment you transition from a state of 0 to 1. Every subsequent step is just keeping the momentum going. This is why going to the gym is harder than working out itself. And writing the first sentence is more agonizing than writing the second page. As Mark Twain famously said, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. Okay, I love that. The psychology of the blank page. If physics explains the what, psychology explains the why. Our brains are wired to resist that first step for a few key reasons. 1. Analysis paralysis. The sheer number of possibilities that can be crippling. A blank page could become anything: a novel, a poem, a shopping list. This infinite choice is overwhelming, so we choose nothing. Taking the first step, even a bad one, destroys this infinity and gives you something concrete to work with. Number 2, fear of the unknown. The beginning is the point of maximum uncertainty. You don't know if you'll succeed, if you or if it will be too hard, or what challenges you'll face. Your brain, seeking safety and predictability, screams, "Don't do it. It's scary out there." And that's true. I never really thought about it that much before. I guess things are making a lot more sense now. Number 3, the perfectionist's trap. We often imagine the finished product in all its glory. Then we look at the starting line and the message and the massive gap between here and perfect. The chasm between too wide to cross, so we never even try. This combination of physical inertia and psychological fear creates the perfect storm of procrastination. One small step, one giant rocket. There is no greater example of the terrifying monumental difficulty of a first step than the Apollo 11 mission. Landing on the moon wasn't just one step, it was a chain of unimaginably difficult firsts. The most critical of these was leaving Earth itself. The Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine ever built, burned through 20 tons of fuel per second in its first few minutes. It used the vast majority of its energy just to break free from Earth's gravity, to overcome planetary inertia. Once in the vacuum of space, it required far less energy to coast toward its destination. This is the perfect metaphor for any great endeavor. The initial launch requires an immense, seemingly unsustainable amount of force. Then, when Neil Armstrong finally set foot on the lunar surface, his words immortalized the concept. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. He wasn't just stepping onto dust, he was stepping over a threshold of impossibility, a threshold that took the concentrated effort of 400,000 people and a nation's will to cross. So, how to nudge the boulder? How do you take your own giant leap? By making the first step ridiculously small. The secret isn't to find more willpower, it's to reduce the friction of starting. The idea is famously captured in the 2 minute rule, popularized by Arthur. Stop. This idea is famously captured in the 2 minute rule, popularized by author James Clear in his book Atomic Habits. The rule is simple. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read more becomes read one page. Run 5K becomes put on my running shoes. Write a book becomes open a document and write one sentence. The goal isn't to achieve the outcome in 2 minutes. The goal is to master the art of showing up by making the first step so easy you can't say no. You generate enough momentum to get the boulder rolling. As the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said over 2,500 years ago, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And he was right. He just failed to mention that the first step is the only one that feels 1,000 miles long. So be kind to yourself. Make the first step laughably small and take the leap. The momentum will carry you from there. This was so nice. This was really cool. And apparently, Medium is an app. I kind of feel like it's giving like X vibes, but better. I love this. I'm gonna sign up. Anywho, that was such a nice piece, and it kind of gave me a lot more room kind of to think about why I haven't been doing certain things and why it's so difficult. I like the fact that it broke down probably the three reasons why a lot of people are having problems with making their first step. The first one being analysis paralysis, the second, the fear of the unknown, and the third, the perfectionist trap. Honestly, I can relate to all of those, and that's just because being a little more specific now, being the firstborn and being the firstborn child, oh, sorry, being the firstborn and being the firstborn female child is a tough spot to be in. Firstborns are usually the ones who are burdened with second parent syndrome. And it's not only because or it's not solely because a parent might be, putting extra commitment on them to help raise or, watch over their siblings. No, it's not always the case. Sometimes you feel as though it's your responsibility to do so. And in doing so, you take a lot of pressure off other people, you put some on yourself, and you carry this boulder, you carry this burden for a long time, and it just becomes who you think you are. And that's the narrative you stay with for the rest of your life until you realize, I don't think that that's really who I am. So, yeah, perfectionist trap is something I can definitely relate to. It's just one of the things that comes with being human. I mean, unless you're really okay with just going with the flow and just taking life as it comes, you are going to suffer from one of these things. Either the perfectionist trap, which I definitely suffer from, fear of the unknown, or analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis is something that I also do quite often, but I never really understood that that's what I was doing exactly. So think about it this way, like they said, you have an empty page and there's so many things that you can fill this page with. I'm talking about the options are endless. But the minute you choose something, the options start to disappear and you have to focus on one thing. And then procrastination comes into play because maybe that's not the one thing you really wanted to focus on. Or maybe you just like having a lot of options. But when you have a lot of options, you seldom actually choose one. So, yeah, it's like when you're in front of a buffet and there's so many delicious, delectable things to choose from, you get overwhelmed and you can't make up your mind. Yeah. Or it's like Netflix versus cable. You have tons of things to choose from on Netflix, whereas with cable, you turn the channel on and you watch whatever's on the channel. So I get it. This has been so refreshing. I love taking little micro reads like this and kind of thinking about it. And maybe this is going to be like a series that I do, maybe once a day. It's very easy, very simple, and I think other people would enjoy it as much as I do. So, yeah, this is my first video in this series. I haven't found a name for the series yet, but let's just take the first step and publish the first video, and then we'll get to that at a later date. Yeah, so this sums up kind of why taking the first step in the direction that benefits you is such a big step and such a problem for so many people, including myself. And then there's this other thing that this um blog didn't really talk about, and it's like, for me, I don't know why I feel like I have to live up to this reputation, like, and I always think to myself, I am just a grain of sand. I am just a grain of sand. I was born a couple years ago and I will be dead in a couple years from now. So why burden myself with feeling the need to meet standards that I didn't set for myself? You know what I mean? It's really difficult when you really come to terms with who you are and want to internalize and trying to find ways to like be a better you. It's difficult because to become the you that you want, and if that you of the future is very different from the you now, you have to sever ties with yourself. And that is very difficult to do because you're you're comfortable, you're accustomed to the person that you are now. It's difficult. It's difficult. It can be difficult, but everything is difficult until you start. That is crazy work, but it's worth doing if you want to see a change. I can like apply this to myself also in like weight loss and my fitness journey. I started my fitness journey officially May 23rd. I started walking 10K steps every day and I started measuring what I ate by calories. Now, I started May 23rd of this year and I have noticed a drastic difference. While I haven't done anything crazy like go to the gym 5 times a week or focus mainly on lifting or change my diet drastically, I did do a few changes that I think have affected me quite a bit. Number one would be the consumption of um, processed sugar, even fruits. Like I rarely eat fruits now. My body is kind of craving it, but it rarely happens. And I've been doing a lot of little things to help myself. So I've been taking the little step, and it has been getting easier. But there's an obstacle every time you think you're getting closer. So yeah, it's just important to take the step, no matter how small. It's important because before the 10K, I started off with 5K and just kept on going and going until I gradually was okay with meeting 10K. After this, I'd like to get to 12K and then maybe 15 and work my way up from there and see, if I could get maybe 45 minutes of cardio in on the treadmill or Stairmaster and see where I go from there. Making the first step in a direction that's beneficial to you is gold. And all of this is just to tell myself you have made the first step in some instances, but you're lacking in others. And you need to make the first step for the other things that you want to accomplish. I really enjoyed that reading, and I hope you did too. If you want to be entertained a little more, hit subscribe for daily content just like this, where I dive into a new blog and discuss the way it makes me feel and the way it makes you feel, maybe. So, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'm Balinme. I'll see you in the next video.